I think what's actually emerging is bigger than a civil rights movement. It is a racial justice movement that is closely connected to other justice movements. Hey everybody, this is Rinku Sen here. I am the director of the Applied Research Center, which is the outfit from which we publish Color Lines, our daily news website on race. We have been working at the Applied Research Center on racial justice, basically figuring out how we can best persuade the people that we are able to persuade and how we can out-strategize and out-organize the rest in pursuit of racial justice. And what I think is really unique and what makes me optimistic about this moment is that I think what's actually emerging is bigger than a civil rights movement. It is a racial justice movement that is closely connected to other justice movements. And the reason that racial justice appeals to me in ways that civil rights is limited is because racial justice includes economic, political, and cultural rights, whereas civil rights generally really applies to political rights, things like voting and what happens in courts. So I favor a much broader movement, and we need a movement today, I think we're starting to get there, that is fighting racism that has a different definition from the definition that existed during the civil rights movement 50 years ago. So our old civil rights frames and race frames define racism always as being intentional and overt and explicit and also individual, whereas we know that, in fact, a lot of times racial bias is unconscious. People are not aware that they have it or are acting on it. It is systemic, not just individual. It's built into our rules, and it is it's not very overt. The N-word isn't going to get used. There's not going to be a noose hanging somewhere. I think the new racial justice movement is really working to help people understand and act on the ways in which racism actually works, particularly in our country today, where people have learned not to engage in the most obvious kinds, because those are the kinds that are outlawed. So racism has morphed, and our movement needs to keep up.